Hello and welcome to the Busy Bays podcast, where we provide valuable insight and advice on the marketing and other business type questions that auto repair shops encounter as they work towards achieving their goals. Now here's our hosts, Martin Morgan and Becca Hackley. This is the Busy Bays podcast, a podcast that's all about being the ultimate marketing and business resource for auto repair shop owners. So Martin and I will tell you every single day that having and taking care of your Google My Business and Facebook profiles are two entirely different things.
That's right, Becca. Simply having these profiles versus putting time into them makes a big difference. We've covered a lot of the basics of these, both Google My Business and Facebook, many times. So we're not going to go through those, and we encourage you to go back and listen to some of our previous podcasts if you are interested in some of the basics, basically start to finish, almost like a to-do list of what you need to do. So today, we're going to cover ways to measure success with your Google My Business and Facebook profiles.
So the big thing with measuring success, you really have to pay attention to the data points over time. So specifically, what do I mean by that? I swear we won't sit here and bore you with numbers or anything, but we do want to get started with just focusing on measuring success of your Google My Business profile. We'll get to Facebook later. Let's start with the basics. You need to have an up-to-date profile with accessible ways for your customers to contact you. So AKA, we need your company name, your address, and your phone number. Those are the key ways that people know who you are, where you're located, and how they can contact you. Although that's really big for success, that's not how we measure it. So Martin, what's one way we can measure your Google My Business profile success?
I'm not just going to give one way on this time. I'm going to give two. So One way I would say that's fairly straightforward and can be a differentiator for you in your shop right now, because so many shops are not using that, is to list services. So services, it goes right under category, and I would encourage you to list at least 5 services if you have 5 services to list, and that can be a really nice differentiator for you. Another way, though, to measure your success, and this is more traditional, and one of the ways that most people would probably think, is how many reviews your shop has. So we just throw a rough line in the sand that says you want it to be at least 50, but certainly more is better. And I think one of the things you're going to hear repeatedly throughout this podcast is that it's not just a random number that you're shooting for. You can set a number and that's fine, but much of it is relative. So what are the shops in the surrounding area? What do they look like? How many reviews do they have? That's one of the ways you want to compare it. So you also want to take a look at other shops in your area. So when somebody calls up something like auto repair, they're searching for a shop. How many reviews do those other shops that come up have? That's one of the things that you want to compare your number to. And you want to be at least top 3. So you want to aim for being the top 3 among shops near you. If you're number 1 or you want to shoot for number 1, hey, that's awesome. But you want to be at least top 3. If you're not, then set a goal and work toward it. And another thing you're going to hear us continuously reference is look, what your goal is should depend on your capacity that you have to work toward it. So I wouldn't tell you that if you have 34 reviews and top 3, you need 100. Hey, look, you need to set your goal at 100 and you need to be there by the end of the month. What I would say is set your goal for this month at 50 and work toward getting to 50 and then continuously set the goal. So break it down and set a goal. And the other key thing when it comes to reviews is, are you responding to these reviews? So responding to reviews can make a big difference, certainly for Google and also for those potential customers who are looking at your reviews.
And not only can you measure success for your shop with the reviews, but that's actually how your customers are going to measure whether or not they're going to come to you, because it's a big stance on credibility and just helping them make the best decision for their vehicle or their lifestyle. So you're going to want to strive to increase the reviews, set those goals like Martin was saying. And even if right now you have a lot of reviews compared to the surrounding areas on the map in your town, never stop asking for them. The more relevant and timely the reviews are, the best off that you're going to be.
And you make a great point right there, Becca, because if you think about it, let's just say you're listening to this podcast and other competitors, other shops in your area are also listening to the podcast, and you're sitting there in first place. Well, all of those who are listening, they're going to start saying, oh, well, that shop's in first place. I need 114 reviews to get over there 112. And I'm going to start shooting for that. So it's a continuous competition. So you do want to continue to get those reviews. Even if you're sitting at first place, don't just sit and rest on your laurels. You want to keep getting more reviews. And of course, the other thing tied to reviews that are very important, the reviews make up your star rating on your Google My Business profile. And similar to the number of reviews, you want to compare your rating to the shops in your area. And we would usually say, look at 10. Look at the 10 shops in your area that also come up for something like auto repair. When you search, and you can do it in maps if you want to do it that way, and see where you rank among the top 10 shops. You, again, want to be in the top 3. If you're not in the top 3, you want to set a goal to improve your ranking to get to the top 3. Now, this is a little more difficult than just number of reviews, because you can kind of sort of control a number a little bit more. But to increase your star ranking, you need to get more higher star reviews. To do that, you want to ask happy customers. So look at where you are, compare it to the other shops in your area, set a goal to try to get to where you want to be, and just to continuously make it better. Again, could be for the next month, maybe for the next quarter, and a lot of that's going to depend on what your capacity is as far as your ability to affect that number.
Reviews are great to help differentiate your shop. Just in the surrounding area, the more people can talk about you, the more your customers can read, and the more they can make a better, well-formed decision in their heads. But besides reviews and having a great star rating, what are some other personalized ways that a shop can get noticed amongst the rest?
Photos are a great way to stand out for sure. And what's important about that is that Google tracks the number of photos you have on your insights page. So you can get a pretty good idea of what is important to Google by looking at your Google My Business Insights page. And one of the things that they track is definitely photos. So it's always good to include photos of the vehicles you work on your location, of course, your shop, maybe your waiting area or lobby. I know that's not as relevant now, perhaps, as it has been in the past, but it's still important. Photos of your staff. You want at least 10 of those, 10 personalized photos on your Google My Business profile. And one of the reasons that's important goes back in part to some of the things that you've been mentioning, Becca, which is the potential customers and them wanting to connect and using this information to better understand your shop, what you offer, what their experience is going to be. People want to connect with people. So when they see these pictures of your shop, when they see pictures of you, and they see pictures of your team, it's going to enable them to connect more with those people, even if it's just virtually and not really in person and just through pictures. So that's going to be an important piece. And again, it's something that Google cares about.
And just beyond like connecting with other people through pictures, I love it when shops, or I mean any business, puts pictures on their GMB, because it helps me. If I've never been there before, I can look at their picture and be like, okay, so that's what I'm looking for when I'm driving. And so it'll just kind of be a red flag of like, this is my destination and this is where I need to land. So I think that's a big part in pictures too.
It's a great point.
So we've taken a look through countless shops Google My Business profiles, and it's always fun to just see the comparisons and everything that's going on between all the different shops across the country. But there's always a section on the GMB that I see where some shops utilize it, some shops don't, which is the post updates or posts. So Martin, can you help me out a little bit? Like what is that area for specifically?
So a great way to utilize posts is to share any sort of promotions or things that you have happening in your shop currently. Like for instance, it's October, and if you're supporting the Breaks for Breath, that would be a great thing to show there because it also shows community involvement. And you can utilize the post really for anything that you'd like to promote things at your shop, or to specifically maybe post a picture and add a little bit of commentary on that is another good way to use that. And one of the key things related to that is it shows that you're active. Different though from Facebook, where you can put a post up and it lives forever, and Google My Business, at least for now, those posts expire over a certain period of time. So you want to pay attention to that as well.
That's really good to know. I didn't know that they expired. So I hope that if you're listening, like you are seeing a pattern here. It's the more relevant and timelier that your profiles, like just like Martin said, posting those updates because they do expire. They'll go away. The more relevant that you are within your profiles, your reviews, and even tied in with your website, it's going to help you from an SEO standpoint and just the credibility with the customers. So Martin,
Yes.
you're kind of my SEO go-to guy, so I'm gonna let you kind of take that one though.
Yeah, and one of the key things relates to that timeliness that you mentioned back then, and that is recency and frequency. So I should say they are recency and frequency. So have you recently posted something, and how frequently are you posting things? Have you recently made an update? Have you recently posted a photo? How frequently are you making updates, or how frequently are you posting photos? And from an SEO standpoint, and this relates both to your Google My Business profile and also your website, because Google will use your Google My Business profile as an indicator for your website as well, as far as freshness. And Google really likes recency and frequency. So the more that you're doing something and the more recent that you've done it, that shows Google that you're an active business, because they want to show anybody who's searching for auto repair services the active businesses in that area. So they're going to make the best choice. And Google wants to help them do that by you being active on there, by utilizing recency and frequency. It's showing that you're a great choice for those potential customers.
So being an active shop is your number one goal, is what I want you to take out of this. So keeping track of how many reviews your shop has and how recent they're coming in, as well as the star rating that will build in relation with the reviews, as well as just other information like the posts and the updates, photos, any coupons or things happening community-wise within your area. Those are great ways how to measure success, because the more active you are, the more successful that Google will see your shop being.
That's exactly right. And just to review for everybody, the 5 things that we talked about as far as ways to measure success: you want to have 5 services. You want to be top 3 in number of reviews and top 3 in your star rating amongst the group within your area, other shops, or anybody you compete with. You want to have at least 10 photos, and then you want to have an active post or a special. So that's really it's a 1 or a 0. Either you have it or you don't, but you want to keep that active. And so from that standpoint, those are 5 good measures of success for Google My Business. And now that we've talked through Google My Business, let's go ahead and move on to how to measure success with your Facebook profile.
I'm a big proponent of Facebook, of just the community that it can put forth within your business and the things that you can share. But we won't talk so much about what you have to post on Facebook. But today we're going to talk about those main 5 things that you can kind of do to help measure success, which Martin recently covered with the GMB side of things. Your Facebook has the ability to get reviews, and which those reviews channel into a star rating, much like your GMB. This will be important for all your Facebook followers. So another thing that we would highlight is how many followers that your Facebook page has. That's a big way to measure success, because the amount of people that you can get following your actual shop's page, that's how many eyeballs that are going to be seeing your posts, which creates more engagement, like comments, likes, and shares, which brings more attention to what your shop is promoting. So that's a huge key proponent in starting to the measurement of success.
There isn't an exact number of how many reviews or star ratings or followers that we would say that you should have. Similar to GMB, we say it differs for each shop, and a lot of it is relative to how the other shops in your area are doing. So it's based on location, it's based on amount of people in your community, but it is still important to measure that success. So as we mentioned earlier, you want to compare the reviews, the star ratings to other shops that are in your area.
So clearly there's quite a bit to help you measure success within Facebook. So we'll start with kind of the main nitty-gritty basics, which is your about section. So that needs to be up to date and match what your GMB as well as what your website states. This is going to help eliminate any confusion on how to get in touch with your shop or where you're located. It keeps all of the lines of communication on the same page, as well as your profiles all being consistent.
That is definitely very important. Another thing to think about, to be aware of, is Facebook has a lot of opportunity for your customers or potential customers to, what we might say, quote unquote, judge a book by its cover. So Becca, how can a shop make sure their Facebook profile is up to par with their customers' expectations?
It all starts with your cover and your profile picture. So you need to take a look at it. Does it have a high quality photo that actually fits within the dimensions of what Facebook needs? If you aren't sure what the dimensions are, you can honestly Google like Facebook profile picture dimensions, and it will tell you exactly. But your profile and your cover photos are often the first things that people are going to see. So you want to be able to include your logo. This can be done in the profile picture or even on your cover photo if it fits nicely. This is just kind of creates that brand. This is your Facebook page. This is your shop. To take these pictures, you don't need a fancy camera to have a good looking cover photo.
That's an important point as well. Don't let that get in your way of getting a good photo, is thinking you need a professional photographer type level camera in order to take one. Smartphones, your iPhone, whatever you might have, it has technology, that far surpasses many cameras that were thought to be professional cameras not too long ago. So don't let that stop you, because pictures are worth 1,000 words, and they can make a huge difference, especially as somebody looks at your page and start to evaluate the professionalism of your shop. And so like reviews and star ratings on your Google My Business, Facebook has a couple ways to measure success similar to those. So Becca, what does that look like?
So at the very beginning, I hit on Facebook having reviews. So many shops that we work with currently, we help them encourage their customers to share reviews on their Facebook page, because anywhere that you can get the word out is going to be best. So another measurement of success that comes along with the reviews is normally the people who review you also are going to follow you, which is fantastic. You want to encourage that. Once you leave a review, also like our Facebook page. So the followers are going to be the ones who choose to like your page. They are going to be the ones most likely to engage in your shop's posting. So paying attention to who your followers are and what their interests are is a really big important notion here. paying attention to the age group or maybe even their humor? Do they like to see more coupon related items that you share, or maybe more informational, educational tips in maybe you're in a snowy part of the country? Talk about those type of tips that really go right directly into what your audience wants to see, because that's going to be the best bet in how to get your engagement levels up within your followers.
And think about it this way too, just from a raw numbers standpoint, the more followers you have, the more likely that you will be seen by a larger audience, because you're giving yourself the chance for them to share or like or any of those things on your post, which would then potentially go to their followers' news feeds as well. So you want to continue to build your number of followers and give your shop really the chance to drive more engagement.
Yes. So the likes, the comments, the shares that you talked about, Martin, that's exactly how your shop can measure success of the posts, because we like to look for about 5 or more interactions on a post. So that means 5 likes or 5 comments type of thing. When you see less of those, it doesn't mean you're doing awful. It just means maybe there's a different type of post that's going to connect with your audience, or maybe you need more followers so that you can show up like on people's news feeds. The more interaction and the engagement your post has, the better it is performing. So you can take a scroll through your news feed and just take a look at what your posts are averaging, and that will give you a good idea of where you kind of sit.
That's definitely a great suggestion. And so we understand that not all shops are going to be able to be extremely active on Facebook, and we wouldn't necessarily expect you to be. But Becca, how often would you recommend that a shop should post to increase their followers and engagement?
We found it best that it's 3 to 4 times a week. So this is going to help the momentum of the shop's page showing up on your followers' news feeds, but it also doesn't drown them in the posts every single day. There are some businesses, or I mean even some Facebook friends I'm sure you have, who post several times a day or several times a week, and you see it so often that you almost grow to ignore it, because it's the same thing, same person. So you don't want to be like that. You want to show up timely, but in an effective way. So 3 to 4 times a week is a great way to stick around for the postings. And don't forget, when you are posting, please stay active with the people who are engaging on your post. So if they're commenting on it, respond. Whether that's you're asking them what their favorite fall treat is and somebody says caramel apples, comment back and say, oh, absolutely, us too. Like, just kind of engage in those little conversations, and that builds a lot of communication just within your shop and the community.
That is definitely true. And so on the previous podcast about Facebook, we talked about multiple different types of posts. We talked about value-based posts. We talked about promotional. We talked about entertaining posts. So you want a good mix of those. But what is one thing that a shop should avoid posting, Becca?
So yes, Martin, we talked about our 80-20 rule, about 80% being value-based while 20% being promotional. Take a listen to that previous podcast. That will help you just determine what you want to post as a shop. But to answer your question, the thing to avoid is sharing links. It seems kind of weird because, of course, you want your customers to visit your website, or maybe you have a YouTube channel that you're sharing links to, but Facebook doesn't want your followers to leave Facebook for another platform. So try to eliminate posting the links.
That is so important. And it makes sense if you think about it. Facebook is doing lots and lots of things to keep people on Facebook. If you haven't watched the movie, the partial, mostly documentary, The Social Dilemma on Netflix, I would recommend that you do, and you'll see just how far they go to keep people on Facebook. So They're not going to want somebody to be able to click on a link that takes them off of Facebook. So they're not going to show that in the newsfeed, most likely. So you want to be sure also to include photos or text of a post to be informative and engaging without having to include a link. So there's a few different ways that you can do that. And I know Becca's an expert really on that type of thing, and I'll let her speak to that a little bit.
So Facebook is a great place to just share updates or exciting things with your customers. And instead of sharing the links, you can share images. So there are a lot of opportunities where you can take 3 key tips of like, hey, this is how you clean the console of the interior of your car, and then list the tips for them instead of sharing an article. This will be able to give them a straightforward post, allowing them not to leave Facebook, and which prompts Facebook to hopefully show your post a little bit more frequently because it keeps the followers on there. So your Facebook profile is something that you need to take care of. Just like your Google My Business profile, you need to be active, you need to be responsive, and you need to be ready to keep up to date with posts or responding to all the comments that come in through your reviews or on the posts themselves.
Yes, they are both 2 great tools. And as much as we'd like to be able to tell you that the only place you need to be to attract customers is here, insert place, it's just a fact that now people, potential customers, are all over the place. They're doing lots of different things. There's online, there's offline. There's lots of places offline. There's lots of places online. So in order to just give your shop the best chance to be found online, obviously a website is critically important, and so aren't Google My Business and Facebook both. So don't forget about your profile. Tend to them each week with the same amount of care, if you can, that you do to your business, or at least create some sort of rhythm that you build into it, that you can be at least minimally active and give yourself the best chance to be found.
And as much as we're rooting for you or someone in your shop that can kind of take on this role, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, how do these two expect me to run a shop and then also run those 2 profiles? Well, I have a response to that, and let us do it for you. We provide a Google My Business and Facebook impact report at Repair Shop Websites, which is a really great opportunity. It's so fun for Martin and I. Martin, can you kind of help me explain just how that works?
Absolutely, and I'll mention the logistics of it in a second. But if you've heard some of the things we've said, and we've given some metrics, we've given some things to shoot for, and you say, oh my gosh, well, I'd like to know how I'm doing, but I don't know that I have the time, or maybe I just don't want to go through and look at all the things that they mentioned. Well, the good news is within that Google My Business and Facebook impact report that Becca referenced, that again, we'll do free for you, you're going to get the answer to all of those questions. We're going to go through, we're going to look at your competitors in your area. We're going to look at the shops in your area. We're going to let you know where you stand as far as number of reviews compared to those top 10 shops that come up. We're going to let you know the same for the star rating. So we're going to go through all of those specific things and then get back to you to let you know exactly where you stand, and also offer some tips for you to help you going forward, for sure. And again, we're understanding. We know you running a shop is significant, and we're not trying to say that it isn't, or to underestimate the amount of time and effort that takes for you. But these are great opportunities to connect with current customers and potential customers. And if it's something that you're interested in, we have a form on our website that you can fill out. Just ask your name, your shop name, and your current Facebook URL, because we certainly need that in order to be able to evaluate how you're doing on Facebook. So we'll receive that information when you fill out that form and submit it. And then once we get that, we've got a document that we follow, really like a process that we follow that runs through all of those things. And then we'll have somebody on our team reach out to you to give you those results, usually within 1 to 2 business days. And then, once you get that, you'll have opportunity to understand exactly where you are and then ask more questions if you have additional questions or want to follow up.
So it's really a lot of fun for us. And if you're wondering, like, why are you guys doing this? We like to help shops, believe it or not. Like, this is pure gold. I love looking at people's Facebook pages and their Google My Business. It gives us a better intel of the auto repair industry. I mean, what kind of things are you guys dealing with on an everyday basis, and what are your customers saying? It's really a great thing just to have. So we enjoy being able to look through it and offer support and opportunities to help improve.
And I want to reiterate what Becca said. We love to help shops. We want to help you. We want to help you understand where you are. We want to help you, even if this just builds the foundation for you to set your goals. And then okay, well, I want to reach this number of reviews. I'm going to set out this plan in order to get there. Unless you know the information, you're not going to be able to do that. So if you're interested in having us conduct that free Google My Business Facebook Impact Report for you, please visit our website, which is repairshopwebsites.com. You can fill out the contact form there and let us know that's what you'd like us to do, or give us a call or shoot us an email. We'd be thrilled, really excited to take a look at what you've got and to help you out with Google My Business and Facebook.
Thank you for listening to the Busy Bays podcast. If you want more information about this, please visit myrsw.com and go to our resource center. We plan on hosting a podcast each month, so subscribe so you don't miss out. Also, I just have one last favor to ask of you. It would mean a lot to us if you would share this with your friends or another shop. Our goal is to help auto repair shops succeed, so you can help us achieve this goal by just telling someone else about the show. Thanks again. Have a great day.